Happy April, happy Monday, happy idiot getting blinded day. Welcome to Tour Grinds Live, TGL, The Grind Live. It changes, it's TGL, it's an acronym. Welcome, I'm Grindhead Jim, we're here to talk about stuff. So, glad to see everyone here that's here so far. I'm sure more of you will stream in. But I do see Johnny Sorensen, who says, I'm not blind, I'm just stupid. Exactly. I hope there's a lot of people that happen to. Not really, but if they're that dumb, I hope so. I see Billy Wifta, good to see you, buddy. I see Gojastron, who says, good to see everyone survive the apocalypse. I sacrificed some goats to appease the angry sky god, and my village was spared. Unfortunately, the goat herder is now unemployed. And single. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Sheep fucking. Epic Badger's here. Glad to see you here. And I see TJC. Welcome back, mate. I've got to see Robert's Infinite Realm seeing here as well. JC says, hope I'm all right. I am doing pretty well, man. Little bit of soreness. Not gonna lie. We're doing okay. Lauren's been ill lately. Pretty much since last, not this past, but the Sunday before. She was sick for a few days. Then she was fine, and then the symptoms came back with a vengeance. It's not COVID. We've tested twice. She's starting to come out of it. She's getting better every day. And I've been fighting off whatever she's got because I've been tired lately, but I'm getting out of that as well. But I've been walking around more and more, not just because I'm losing weight, but because I need to do more around the house. So I'm kind of sore from that. I know that sounds ridiculous, but when you've got arthritis and bad knees and bad back and everything else, it's normal. So yes, we all hope she feels better soon, TJC, but I appreciate you. She will be all right. She will be all right. Wilhelm's here as well. I see you, pal. I see ya. So we've got a handful of pre-orders and some newly arrived stuff in here. Some stuff that might surprise you. Some things that if something you may have missed, there may be some things you want to go get. In keeping with the member-only release of the unboxing, I decided to bring something else out, which is a perfectly carded Green Lantern. Look at him, he's so pretty. He's gonna come out of the package soon enough. Find his way amidst my vintage superpowers, because my current one's is all weak in the thighs and the knees. I saw Gamera statue, but it's not. I'm not featuring it. I'm not featuring it. You put something in the post. I saw that. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to getting it. Looking forward to getting it. Thank you. TJC had a great weekend meeting up with lots of YouTubers at the NEC Toy Fair. Couldn't have had a better weekend. I saw Stu's video about that, and I loved it. I loved seeing your smiling face, among others. Swiggles says, what's up, Jim? I'm like, what's up, Squiggles? Squiggles in the house. Squiggles out in these streets with the medals. He knows what's up. Love you, Squiggles. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Shall we? We shall. All right, let's go ahead and hit up some of these pre-orders, huh? Because some of them, again, you might want to look at. So, this particular retro collection, Scarlet Spider, has been hard to track down, commanding pretty high prices all over the place, and his pre-orders have sold out quite a bit. I'm not crazy interested in getting him. I did pre-order one out of this batch because I know for a fact that he's commanding some money. I don't intend to sell him, but it's like, well, if he's that hard to get, and I do have some affinity for the character, it was worth it. So if you missed him on the last round, get him. Get him, because it's going to be coming pretty quick. So somehow, some way they got extras, so go get you some Scarlet Spiders, okay? We got some 5-inch scale from Bandai Namco. This is a 5-inch scale soft vinyl figure. Not sure what else to say. He's got 5 POA. Or, no, 4 POA. Yeah, 4 POA. But he's based on the 1954 figure. Price is pretty nice. Price is pretty nice. And then there's similar. This is a 6-inch tall figure from Final Wars. There's a bit more money. So this is not a soft vinyl. This is more of a plastic figure. It's got an atomic breath jaw. It's an interesting way of deploying that. You just pull out the jaw and put the other one in, I guess. I don't know. Pretty cool. I like my Final Wars Godzilla better, but, you know, your results may vary. Hey, World Made of Cardboard, good to see you. This is a Mecha Godzilla from that same line, so he is a 6-incher as well. Not too shabby for the price. Now again, I just want to make sure we're hitting everything here. In case you didn't see it last week, Swoop went up for pre-order last week. Swoop! Tell Swoop good part! He's right there, ready for you in your studio series. Definitely pick him up if you're trying to complete your Dinobots. We'll be more on Dinobots a little bit later. I see Studio Series. This is a Voyager Shockwave. This is based on the comic, if memory serves. I don't think I have a Voyager class Shockwave, so I went ahead and pre-ordered them because how can you not have a Shockwave if you like Transformers, right? So I went ahead and grabbed him. Before we move on, I want to check in with chat here real quick, like. Swiggle's always in these streets. That's true. You don't literally work in the streets. Badger says, high visibility Spider-Man staying safe on those New York streets. Yeah, he's not fooling anyone with that stealth. Not fooling anybody with that stealth. Stealth. Alright, so getting back to the old action here. We have the Retro Collection Beachhead. So this is basically the same thing as the Beachhead we got before. Looks like the paint might be a little darker. But it's Beachhead, and he's on a retro card. So, if you missed out on Beachhead before, here's a nice way to get him. And the retro cards, I think, are a really nice addition to that collection. I don't know why they're just not doing all of them like that, but, you know, here you go. You got an eel on retro card as well. I have one of the eels. I love the eels, one of my favorite figures in the classified line, frankly. Just love the way that he looks and feels and poses and stands. So on retro card, even better, even better. So Badger says this Beachhead is way nicer than the original. New sculpting and vest and colors. Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe I'll have to get that one. Maybe. Also, we've got the Snow Serpent for you snow hogs out there. Cobra with snowshoes, basically. Nothing too crazy going on here, but it is very cool. Very, very cool. Hey, no, I completely understand. Classified in general, it's getting a bit pricey anyway. So it's definitely a thing we have to all worry about. Like, I don't order everything. I'm getting very picky. For all you Bjorn Jorgensens and Rebel fans out there, Vintage Collection TVC, you've got Kanan Jarrus. They're making good on their promise with this crew being available since the since that ship funded. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. And you got Zeb. And you got Ezra Bridger. Ezra Bridger, look at me, doot, doot, doot. So, you want them? They're here. They're coming. Coming. I mean, you're never late if you're here. You're here exactly when you mean to be, Salt, and I totally appreciate you being here. I love your face. I miss you. It's good to see you. Robert is slowly blacking away from classified due to price and QC issues. Fair enough. Is that the B-movie Shockwave? Because they're doing 2 Voyager-class Shockwaves in this last wave. One of them was the comic, the other one's, I guess, Bumblebee. So there's 2 of them now. Actually. Yeah, right. We'll see. Okay, there's some Marvel Legends pre-orders. This is supposedly based on the Iron Man 90s cartoon. This comic-ish accurate She-Hulk was definitely right up my alley. Definitely pre-ordered that for sure. There's also one other one of note for me. This is the Tales of Suspense Retro Collection Iron Man with the Model 1 Gold. So it's the same thing we got last year with the silver. The difference is he has the antenna on his shoulder, which the other one did not. And you get a spare Stark head. Now, for me, honestly, you guys are going to laugh at me, but it might be worth getting him just for that spare head. So you can have a regular Tony Stark head if you don't already have one. Definitely worth it. There's a few other suit variants that are in the line, but these are the 2 pre-orders I thought were the most appealing to moi. So let's go ahead and go here. Stumbled across my heavy metal wiki post today. Really? I don't think I've even seen it. I know that I'm on Wikipedia in Poland. I have 1 entry for being in the band Funerus. Johnny ordered that sensational She-Hulk. Hey! That's a Gabby monster. Ordered the sensational She-Hulk, Scarlet Spider, been after Scarlet for many years. Last fight I figured to get. There you go. There you go. Very good. Very, very good. Yeah, that Scarlet Spider. Let me just go ahead and post a link in chat because I don't know how long these are going to last. This second one of them. So put that in YouTube chat for you guys. If you need that Scarlet Spider, there's the link right there. Okay? So, Boba Hicks, why you mad, bro? Why you mad, bro? It's alright. It's alright. We're okay. We're alright. So let me go back here. Alright, so to continue on with this, there's also the Whiplash, which I'm very tempted by. I haven't pre-ordered them yet. I like this version of the character quite a bit. I first learned of him from the Marvel Universe Guide, handbook. Loved what I saw about the character, but I don't know if I actually need him in the collection. I haven't decided yet. They also have, now we're moving to things that are actually in stock. So you get Slag, aka Slug, in core class, which is great to have. You also get Sludge. Oh, wait, this is, well, let me put that towards the end. We'll talk about that in a minute. You got Sludge, then you got the Voyager Ratchet that was up for pre-order earlier. That's finally in stock, as is the core Scar and Grimlock. Okay, so if you like core class and you didn't pick up the Dinobots, you have almost all of them right now in stock. So don't worry, it's right there for you if you need it. So there's lots of good stuff that's in stock right now. And then I saw this fleece blanket, which is a lot similar to one that Largo had sent me along way back in the beginning. And it looks very similar to the one that I have. And if it's even half as comfortable as the one that I have, it is worth your $25. So, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right? Well, yeah. So, I remember Slag, Salzburg says, Ratchet and Ironhide are KEI vans. I defer. You know more about cars than I do. So, plenty of stuff out there for you, both in pre-order and in stock, depending upon what your needs are. I know that I think Jason was the one that mentioned it, the Gamera statue. Yeah, Jason Garcia did. I didn't find it. I know I saw it like yesterday, but I didn't put it in on the docket for today because I was like, Is there anything else that came up for pre-orders that you guys want to talk about and you want to see? Because I had the way the days are running together with her being sick, I have been kind of missing it. I haven't been paying as much attention as I normally would. So that is a thing that is happening. So I'm not trying to shortchange you guys. I'm just being honest. And I wanted to go through some of the stuff that's up there. Some of these pre-orders, I thought they'd been up the week before. They're not. I've made sure not to cross over anything. So I think we're okay. Overpriced statues. There was a couple, but none of them leapt out at me through the screen. Badger says, Phantom Menace micro galaxy ships are hitting target for you smaller collectors. There you go. There you go. One thing Phantom Menace did right, its ship design. Boba Hicks, you know goddamn well there's no such thing as underpriced statues. No such thing. That is a figment of your imagination. If your mother told you they were a thing, she lied to you just like with Santa Claus. Okay? Okay. See? Even Bill agrees with me. You see? Agrees with me. 3D printing wise, again, we haven't been that well, so there's really nothing new on the horizon with that. Although I am getting closer with my prototypes for a couple things I'm trying to get done. You think what's winding down? Like, toys are winding down? Well, here's the thing. This is something that definitely it bears a discussion, and it probably will be a topic of a whole ass show at some point. But if toys are winding down and you're noticing a lack of enthusiasm, I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, a major part of the collectors that are in the collector space now, think about folks that only collect vintage. And they really were pushing hard during COVID. Prices are going up, so there's less for them to buy. And the ones that are modern collectors, a lot of them, like they came out the gate fast and they're petering out a bit, either because they have what they want, they're running out of money, or they're running out of space, or somewhere in between. And the biggest piece of that is that the stuff coming out is not as exciting as even the stuff we were getting a year ago. Now, just in the pre-orders we just discussed, there's a lot of really great shit coming. But we're kind of used to good things coming our way. I think that it's very, very easy for toys to feel like a chore, you know? So, for example, one of the reasons that I don't mind waiting a while when it comes to going to the box to get toys is that when I get them, it feels like Christmas. But on the other hand, if I go there every time something arrives, or even just once a week, it's a smaller batch. I still get the same dopamine hit, and I don't feel like I have a pile of toys to worry about, you know. So I think that it's a question of timing, you know. Like if you were trying to come into any of these toy lines and just start collecting, it's in a weird place because there's not a lot of jumping off points. We're back to that space. I think from 2022 and 2023, if you wanted to jump in on almost any toy line, you'd be fine. 2021 and 2024, so far, not easy to just jump into any toy line. Just the way the release cycles work. So, it's a thing. Salzburg says, lack of disposable income, and vintage guys like me who are moving towards reducing so I can afford to start new hunts. Exactly. You kind of have to strategize and stuff. And thank you. I'm glad that you agree. Bought some mini brands blind balls today. My wife doesn't understand that. I can barely pronounce it. It's a whole thing. Badger says, vintage stuff was just before my time. I tried to get into it but couldn't. I got news for you. Even the stuff you like, the stuff you grew up on, is now vintage. congratulations, you're old. Just like us. You're old just like us. Just a different kind of old. If that makes sense. And, you know, and it's the same thing when, with, like, stuff from the 70s. Even though I technically was born in the 70s, like, I don't really get into anything from the 70s at all. Mego would probably be the exception, because they kind of had that second run in the early 80s and so forth. Mover says, we all olds. Yeah, that's right. We all olds. All of us. Every one of us. I agree. It's true. It's 100% true. So while things are slowing down, I think they're slowing down for a lot of us at the same time because we're all experiencing the same toy lines with the same releases coming out. And if we're following similar tracks with release, you know, there's not quite the reach of variety where you're going to see people really excited for one thing and not another, for the most part. You know, I'm not a completist when it comes to pretty much anything. I'm a completist in the sense of certain aspects of certain toy lines. You know, you guys know how I feel about Superpowers as far as Series 1 and 2, and if I inch my way through to get a representation of everything from Series 3 and then also get my cherry picks from Todd McFarlane, like, I'm not upset by that at all. But in terms of, like, what I wanted to have, I have. And I'm proudly displaying most of them. I've got to go through bins where there's, like, the random figure and whatnot, but they're there, and I'm very happy. With Origins, it's, you know, vintage complete, but retail complete as well. So it's like, but I don't do variants and shit like that. So everyone's got their own thing. You know, in G.I. Joe Classified, like, there's a handful here and there I still want to get. But the majority of what I really want is already in hand. There's a very short list of things I really would love to have. But we'll see. We'll see. Bill says, I know I'm old. I was shouting at the clouds today. That kept me from going blind. Fair enough. Thank you, the clouds. Also says, you'll get those third series figures, and you know you want a vintage Cyborg, no repro. If one fell out of the sky, I wouldn't be mad. But I am not spending those prices for a vintage Cyborg. No way. Absolutely no way. So, today's show is called Outrage is No Culture at All. Okay. Well, sure. I can see the little smirk on your face. I can see it right here in my mind's eye. Just, I get it. Totally get it. But Outrage is No Culture at All is everything you think it is and everything you don't think it is. Because I don't care where you sit on any pop culture spectrum. I don't care where you sit on any political spectrum. There are extremes in all of these places. And I find myself consistently sickened by everyone's going to be mad about something. And the people that are mad about this say that the people over here are the only ones that are mad about something, and then they shoot back, and everyone's just mad. I'm not just talking about cancel culture. I'm talking about, there's going to be a gender swap on this character in that movie. It's like, who cares? If it's well written, who cares? And if you really can't hang with that, then just don't watch the movie. And if they don't make any money, they won't do that as much. Right? Same goes for TV shows. I see equal amounts of hate and love for X-Men 97. Some people are like, I don't fucking like it. They made Rogue's tits smaller. I've complained about that. I'm like, well, did she have a breast reduction surgery in between the shows? Which, if she did, power to her. That's fine. I totally get it. Back problems are a thing. But it's a pretty obvious change, right? The character, is whatever her character model is. But I understand it. Like, you don't want to be, like, hypersexualize this stuff. But it would have been nice to have a heads up. Like, you didn't think we were going to notice? That was fat fodder for a long time. But at the end of the day, I'm going to watch the show, and I'll probably enjoy it just fine. everyone's got something to complain about. And I find that a lot of people tend to, whether intentionally or not, they tend to group together and complain about the same things and go, yeah, we're right, that's horrible. Okay. What are you accomplishing by doing that? And I say the royal you, I'm not saying that people here necessarily engage in that. Although technically we are engaging in that as a group because we're complaining about the complainers, right? But I think that so much of Western culture in general has been building since the 80s to this us versus them mentality all over again. And it's no longer about necessarily the color of one's skin or the gender that they identify as or anything like that. It's just now we're talking about a war of ideas. And people have just lost the skill and art of the debate. Respectfully trading points, so you at least learn about what the other person is feeling, and sow the ground for the potential harvest of compromise and understanding. People don't want to do that anymore. They want what they want right away. It's like the Burger King mentality, like your way right away. Well, that's not how it works, right? And it's infuriating. It's exhausting for me. I cannot engage in that stuff because you see the same things over and over again. Like Star Wars fans, as an example, just constantly bashing people at Lucasfilm for this choice or that choice, and they always make it about Kathleen Kennedy. Prior to George Lucas selling Star Wars, she was, the most successful producer in history in terms of like high grossing films and stuff. That shit didn't happen in a vacuum, right? Now that she has control of Lucasfilm through Disney, well, she's got to please Disney, right? There may be other things I don't know about, and maybe I don't agree with a lot of the choices that she's making. Dial of Destiny is a great example. But everything is done by committee with that company. And you can't just say everything is this one person's fault all the time. Because it isn't. Because there's stuff happening with different CEOs and CFOs and all this crap. What I'm trying to get at here is at some point, when we're talking about entertainment, it's got to come down to, do I like the story or not? Is it well written? Does it tell a good story? Because if you've been around me at all, you know that I'm like, this will never be like the comic book. From the very first Marvel movie to now, they have not been like the comic books. They haven't. They've had elements of the comic books. They've had characters from the comic books. They've changed things and molded storylines and ideas to fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe to get where we got. Star Wars, the sequel trilogy was never going to be like the first original trilogy because that's lightning in a bottle, right? So I think at a certain point, you have to say, okay, some of these things are, one, out of your control. Two, some of them have already happened. You can't change the past. And three, they're not for you. So just move on, right? Now, does it hurt to think about the possibility of turning my back on a beloved franchise? Sure. But in the case of Indiana Jones, I got one, maybe two movies I have to say I don't like out of 5. That means 3 out of 5 I still love, for sure. And the 4th one I'll even give a watch now and again because it is entertaining, whether I like it or not. And I still have toys that I like. I still love the scores and the soundtracks. It doesn't kill me. It doesn't end my life in any way. Let me check in with chat here. Bill's outraged. Fair enough. Johnny says, seems a very corporate / Marvel thing to make all their merch down from curvy natural ladies to heroic chic. Makes all the figures real generic too. Well, they use the same bucks, so that honestly may have been part of why that decision was made. So they didn't have to make a new sculpt with big old titties. And I get it, right? Robert says, what I'm tired of is the low-hanging fruit, too easy to grab terms like woke and such without any thoughtful discussion. And woke is the easy one constant. Yes, I agree. Because the more people throw that word out, the more it becomes clear it's not about whatever they're complaining about. They're railing against change in general, which, hey, change is scary for some people. I totally understand that. But if you accept that things are changing, even if you don't like it, I feel like it's easier to then take a step back and look at things objectively and then try to figure out what you do and don't want. You know, like, I try to compare this to other kind of businesses, like a grocery store. You know, if my grocery store stopped selling my favorite snack or something, that would really piss me off. But you know what I'd do? I'd find it through some other means, and I'd probably still shop at that store for the stuff I get from them anyway. But if you inject that with, like, movies and music and comic books and all this other stuff, or politically charge it in any way, suddenly your world has just crumbled. Not yours, but you know what I mean. It's interesting to me. And Johnny says it's all my fault. That's fair. Brick in the house. Nice to see you, brother. It's good to see you. Appreciate you. Yes, Robert, there are definitely channels that have built their audiences on Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired. That you laugh, but I've seen them. I know of them. And they're infuriating to look at. Go to Tron. He says, the not for you is a sticking point for me. The old fans are guaranteed money, repeat customers. Throwing away the money in hand is a poor business decision. Now, here's my point. I think that they're trying to have just enough of the old guard stick around for the guaranteed money, but are still pushing forward with approaches that will also get a younger demographic as well. Now, if it's a poor business decision, which I agree it is, if it's a poor business decision, I'm totally on board with that. But that's the thing, is that they're clearly not targeting the old audience. I don't think that can be argued. They're not really targeting the old audience. They're hoping the name recognition will be enough to get the old audience in. Or the whole, well, this is what I'm into. Come on, son. You know, and then they get a more current generation story vibe to it, whatever you want to call it. I think that's what they're trying to go for. It's not working for them very well. You know, there's at least 4 films I can think off the top of my head where I'm like, that was a choice. You know, the Eternals being probably the granddaddy of them all. But I do think that they regard we old fans just enough to say, but they don't have a respect. They regard us without respecting us. But I came to that conclusion in what, 2008, 2009? It would have been 2008 when Iron Man came out. And I'm going to be doing a video on that, this exact subject soon. Because it really, it struck me right between the heart and my eyes, and I said, okay, this is not for me, but I'm still going to love it anyway as much as I can. Yeah, Madam Web was for an audience that doesn't exist. I agree with that. That was a silly, stupid idea for a film, but that's Sony. Sony does it all the time. There, at one point recently, Sony was going to fold up their fucking tents and go home. You know, but anyway, movies are not the only thing we're talking about here, right? Anything, right? We've talked about in the past, I think it was last week, we talked about the whole John Wayne thing, or the week before, where it's like he made this statement 50 years ago and people were up in arms about it. I'm like, for what? He's dead. Brendan Haley's here, says, greetings, hope you're doing okay. We're doing well. Hope you're doing okay, brother. Hope you're doing okay. But the ultimate point that I want to make tonight is that it's okay to be upset by something. The question is, how far are you going to take that emotion? And what actionable things are you going to do to either feel better or move on? Okay? And I think so many people are just so accustomed to being angry. Whether you want to call it being triggered or just call it being angry, I think they're the same thing. And if there are only two sides of this, which there are not, but let's say there were, I think you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? You know, let's call, you know, every snowflake's a snowflake in this situation, okay? Whether they call other people snowflakes or not. I think at the end of the day, letting your anger control you is no way to live. And it's no way to progress. Because if all you do is spew hate towards a thing and anyone that might even mildly disagree with you, I've seen it all the time, and be accusatory, like, oh, you're just part of the problem, or you this or that, you know, you're a Nazi, you're a snowflake, you know, all that crap, right? Like, I saw someone, a friend of mine, at least I thought that was a friend, maybe they still are, I don't know. They posted this thing, it was a political statement that was completely predicated on making a joke at another politician's expense. And when someone came in to have a rational conversation about it, they ridiculed them, and the content of the response sounded a lot like someone being pushed off the playground. Like, oh yeah, great idea. Pfft. And again, I'm not going to say which political leaning, because I've seen it happen with every political leaning out there. And it's like, what's the point of that? You're going to make this, you know, an irrational statement about a rational subject, and someone wants to have an adult conversation with you as an adult, and you scoff at them and treat them like you're both 5 years old on a playground. I don't understand at all. What is that accomplishing? Does that make you feel better? I don't understand. I don't get it at all. And I think we all need to be a little bit more reasonable. Now, I'm no apologist. I have my issues with a lot of Hasbro figures that are on these shelves. I have plenty of them, and I voice them when I have those issues. But I'm also appreciative of the fact that some of these exist at all. I never had access to these as a kid, or if I did, I missed the boat, and now I have a chance to get them again. There are things they should be doing better. We make sure to tell them all the time. You know, sometimes they hear us, sometimes they don't. But I will not make my channel or my life about screaming to the fucking clouds about what they're doing. I'll make comments here and there. I'll do my 5 to 9 minute video about it here and there if I'm really mad. But for crying out loud, at the end of the day, it is just a toy. And if I really don't like it, I don't have to buy it. But that's the same thing with movies, the same way with a TV show, the same way with a comic book, same thing with a political candidate, same thing with a restaurant, same thing with a grocery store, same thing with the fucking people you hang out with. But somewhere in the last 10 years, people just go, if you're not, they kind of go Anakin Skywalker on you. If you're not my ally, you're my enemy. You know, all this crap. And I'm just really over it. I'm going to check in with you guys here. Johnny says, I saved my anger for road rage. Pop culture stuff, it's garbage, and like DC Warner movies, I don't want them. 100 years of good films to watch. Exactly. Warner Bros. Like that. He's like, well, don't watch. I don't care that they exist. It has no effect on my daily life at all. Exactly. See, Johnny knows what's up. Cody says, there's over 100 years of entertainment to enjoy. I don't waste my time forcing myself to like something out of brand loyalty. Me either. Salzburg says, on a completely different note, the new Shogun seems pretty good. I've seen bits and pieces of what's out there, and it sounds like it is really good. Bill's outrage is Stinkor doesn't stink enough. Well, I'm pretty sure you can go to the Hunt store and get some great Stinkor spray. It's a thing. Brendan Haley says, my father-in-law came from the Netherlands to Australia in the late 1960s. He was shocked Aussies avoided political discussions socially. It wasn't our character. Last 10 years has seen change here, but not for the better. Fair enough. Hylian Dread, welcome to the show, says, I remember back in the day when certain things just existing used to not be woke, but now is woke simply for just being existing. I think the existence of the word woke as a reference point is dead, frankly. I understand what you're trying to say, and I definitely don't want to I'm not trying to shut you down. I think that anytime you lump a group of ideas, or what you perceive as a group of ideas, into one word or just a small phrase, you're, without intending to, probably, you're really demeaning and like minimizing any thought that went into it. And it goes in the other direction. So the people that are so-called woke, talking to people that on the other end of the spectrum, call them every name in the book and dehumanize them and their arguments. I think it's asinine. And I think that if we just start having rational conversations on a point-by-point basis with the understanding that we don't have to agree and we can still get along, we're going to be fine. But people seem disinterested in that. Brick Something is saying something poignant here. Says, people are behaving badly these days, more than usual. I agree. And these are grown adults. My brother's a Disney Imagineer who works on a ride that people don't want replaced. They're threatening him by name. That's horrible. It's horrible. And the same thing happens in game development. People do death threats to devs all the time. It's awful. Fucking keyboard warriors, man. I swear. That's horrible, Brick. I'm really sorry about that. He continues, it's ridiculous because the rage is seeping into fun stuff. Toys, movies, theme parks. Exactly. These are things that are supposed to be escapes from the larger, harder questions to answer, and people just kind of go off. Here's one. Robert's Infinite Realm lost a 20-year friendship because he likes Action Force. That is... How brain dead can a person get? My wife likes ketchup on her hot dogs. I like mustard on my hot dogs. We're married and we're very happy. I like my lump of plastic painted by these people and molded by this and that. You have that that's similar? Ugh, you're a traitor. Ugh. Fuck him. Fuck him. He was never your friend to begin with. If he's capable of that kind of nonsense, he was never anyone's friend. Fuck him. Ugh. It's horrible. Salzburg says, here's lies, the negative of online. It allows you to seek out only like-minded extremists. Yeah. Gertron says, if woke means something, means promoting social change, I think Gene Roddenberry, Rod Serling, Lee and Kirby, etc. all got that ball rolling a very long time ago. Thank you. Very, very short memories in so-called fan culture. I agree. And Goji, you've been saying that since we met. I mean, like, I don't understand the problem here. You know, again, I think people are just scared of change, and they're too pussified to say that. Frankly, people don't want to self-reflect for whatever reason. They don't want to self-reflect. They don't want to analyze whether it's their feelings or what's actually happening, or just realize that there's something else for them. Like, they're just not happy. You know, I think a lot of people are unhappy in general, and these things that they turn to, they see it as going in a direction that they don't agree with. And it's like, now I don't even have this. I would argue that even if all of the pop culture stuff stayed the same, okay, through all of this, some of those people, most of those people would still be miserable in their lives. They would just find something else to complain about. People just don't, they don't like to look inward. And again, this is on all sides of every argument. Extremists. Because I'm tired of it. I don't like Hasbro apologists. And I don't like the people that are constantly just going all the time. I'm over all of it, frankly. And again, toys are just one small example of this. Billy Wifta says, some people just want to be angry. They actively seek stuff to be angry about. Very sad existence. I agree. See, Milvor likes mayonnaise on hot dogs. I think that's fucking disgusting. But I still love Milvor to death. Andy in the house says, my 2 cents. Bring in the original characters, but create the story where they pass on the torch to the new generation. Depending upon the premise or the character line you're talking about, that could work. Marvel tried that several times in the comics. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The X-Men are the best example of that. Second generation of X-Men are the ones that most people identify with. I think they attempted that with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, but they fumbled the ball. But I think there's definitely ways to do that. I think it's a good place to start. But I think a lot of people would just be like, well, this predictable reboot. Like, everyone's going to find something to complain about, but I like your idea. Robert says, that is what I said too when it all went down. I was like, you got to be kidding. I agree. You know, I'm glad that you're all right. And I hope that they're okay too in the long run. But geez. So Pittsburghers eat mayo on French fries. I would love to see your evidence, because I lived in Pittsburgh for a long time, as you know. I've never seen that. Not once. I think you're wrong. Godron says, here's an idea. Make new stuff. Thank you. Take the old fans right out of the equation. We used to make new stuff. It was good. I agree. 100%. You know, I would love new ideas. A great example. I'm a huge fan of slasher horror movies. Huge. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Child's Play, bring me all of it. Hellraiser, all of it. And they sequeled some of those to death. And, hang on. Your cousins? Well, your cousins were just brought up wrong. Because that ain't right. Fry sauce? That ain't fry sauce. That's bad parenting. Love you. But, you know, you've had some of these things sequeled to death and this and that. Certainly reboots, remakes have been attempted with some of the big ones. But I was always like, why can't they just make a new slasher kind of style film with a somewhat new idea? Then I find out about this Hatchet series, which had just flown over my radar. Just completely, it's done. And I fell in love with that series. I love it. And it's one of the best now to me. And part of it is because it's still relatively new to me. I think the same could be said for like action movies and so forth. I thought the Expendables were fun. But give me a new action hero. Like, we're on Mission Impossible, what, frickin' 9 or something? Like, okay, Tom, we get it. You do stunts. Let's find something else. You know, the one example where bringing back the old stuff and it made sense was Maverick. It was complete fan service, but it was a really well-made movie, right? You don't get that often. So just do something fun. Do something new. And see what happens. You know. Winnie the Pooh. What you could reboot Winnie the Pooh, but that Winnie the Pooh slasher, that was low rent, dude. Cool idea. But it was a fat guy in a mask that just covered the front of his face. Like, I want an animatronic looking, fully articulated, talking Winnie the Pooh horror movie. That's what I want. Robert says, it's a tough one. Many times you try to make new stuff and people rally against it. Does get a bit old, though. I hate hearing it. Not my insert character name. It's hard to pull off. Absolutely. And sure, you'll hear things like dime store this, or, you know, discount this, or dollar store that. You know, the reference like Gamera always being compared to, say, Godzilla or whatever. It's a risky thing to do, right? But it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I mean, look at Action Force as a toy line, for example. It took an existing name and made something new out of it. And I think that might be the middle ground. But you can't pull it off with everything. You can't. Goji was trying to think of the last big franchise that was created in film, for film, that wasn't an adaptation of something. The only thing it come up with was Avatar, which itself was derivative. It was Dances with Wolves, but with Smurfs. So even that was derivative. It's horrible. French fries taste good with blue plate? Okay. New movies, Mission Improbable. Avatar is old now, too. Yeah, it's 15 years old. It's kind of crazy. Brick says, agreed on the need for new stuff. Hence my love for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Kickstarter's ending soon. Yes, and pre-orders are up for that, actually, on Big Bad. So you can get the pre-orders from that now. I didn't show them because I wasn't sure how many people were into that. So if you don't want to go on the Kickstarter, Big Bad should be able to take care of you on that as well. But there are ways to make old stuff new again. Shin Gojira, Godzilla -1, Godzilla Reborn, aka 1984. You could take the same concept, because the original concept of that film was making a political statement about the time. And if you just update it with the time, it tends to work. So there's stuff out there that you could do this with. There are probably some older movies that never really got their due in the public eye that could use an updated thing. Or movies that didn't get to their potential. You know, that would deserve a second shot. It's not for me to say. But I think that no matter what it is you're looking for, whether we're talking about pop culture or something else, remember that everyone's got their own cross to bear, so to speak. Okay? And they got to their way of thinking somehow. And just because they don't agree with you, it doesn't mean that they're not worth having a discussion with. Doesn't mean you can't break bread. Doesn't mean you don't both put on your socks one at a time, whatever. You know. So, okay, so the Big Bad counts for the Kickstarter. Good stuff. Coachron says, there's good new stuff, but it's hard to find the avalanche of content gets dumped on the 500 streaming services. That's true. Brick says, but seriously, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Savage Crucible, Mythic Legions, and the likes get my attention because they're both new and uncharted territory and pushing the art of toys forward. Absolutely. You know, it's not for me because I'm on a nostalgia trip, but I definitely really appreciate what they're doing. And that's a hard place to get a foothold, for sure. Good old steaming services. Shovel on more sequels, Squire. Yes, I get it. So, I hate to disappoint, but this week there will not be a TGL panel unless someone's really itching to get on there. Because I think we're having a great discussion with, you know, as is with chat, frankly. But I really wanted to do this show because I was really been out of shape over the weekend. Some of you guys probably saw my YouTube short. A lot of people saw it, but whether or not you saw it, I don't know. Where I made a point about, look, if you're really that mad about a gender swap or a person of color getting a role in a film or a comic book or a cartoon, fuck you. And I meant it. I understand not being happy with a story point that they might be making or something. But if it's a movie you haven't seen yet, then what is it about? If you haven't seen The Thing yet, and all you know is that this person's been cast in a role, we've seen this a billion times, what is there to be upset about? And if it's not about them being a woman or a person of color or diverse or whatever word you want to use, then what is it about? You know? People have brought up and asked about the whole Silver Surfer thing. I'm like, well, yeah, that's just the latest example, right? But when it comes to the Fantastic Four and what is so far, everything they're doing points to the fact that the Fantastic Four, the FF's coming in through an alternate fucking universe. A completely different universe. So, you can have a female Silver Surfer and get away with it, bring them into this realm, then a male Silver Surfer comes out of nowhere, and now you got your traditional Silver Surfer, and you get some cool dramatic points in this and that. Plus, you get to have an FF that comes from the 60s, if you want to. You can have your cake and eat it too. You know? So for those that were asking us about this, like, well, that's just the latest example. But it was definitely like, come on. Like, is it that big of a deal, really? Hey, no worries, Jason. I appreciate you. Coach Ron says, Jendi Tartakovsky, I hope I pronounced that right. Tartakovsky also did a great show called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Didn't get a lot of press. That sounds good. James Salzberg says, everyone bitched about Michael Keaton being Batman, but they were wrong. I agree. And granted, you look back at them now, there's some cheese to those films, but they're still great movies, right? And I think people are just too quick to judge something that doesn't fit exactly perfect in their pocket. When you get a new piece of clothing, sometimes it is not as broken in as one would like, and it takes time before you get used to it and get comfortable. Bill says, I could give a shit about the Surfer. It's Galactus I'm worried about. He better not be a big old space cloud, damn it. I agree. I hope they pull a Godzilla Final Wars, and Galactus has to fight a space cloud and destroys it in one hit. That's what I hope, personally, right? But that's really all I have to say, guys. This is not really like a new thing for you guys. You guys know me by now. Be reasonable with each other. Have discussions like we do here. And remember, like, this is just, a lot of the stuff that we like so much is just make-believe. And try to have fun with it now and again. All right? And if one of your buddies is really getting bent out of shape, maybe show them this. To remind them, like, hey, we're supposed to be adults. Let's act like it. Anyhow, in the meantime, may all your grinds be straight. May your grinds be straight. You start that over again. In the meantime, may all your card backs be straight. May all your grinds be merry. And you may be able to find anything you're looking for at any given time at a price you feel is reasonable. Like the definition of make-believe. What do I mean by make-believe? I mean, like, toys, movies, TV, comic books, politics, that's fake too. News, lentils, wallpaper,